there's been some times where I'll send something in, I'm surprised, but you're like, yeah, let's look at it. I'm like, all right, cool. That'll be fun.
I totally agree. I have been surprised more times working at Berkeley Environmental on this type of business. Yes, let's write this. And I'm like, all right, let's do it.
Changing gears a little bit, we were talking about being creative and underwriting and looking at the risks and taking it with a fresh set of eyes and being open-minded. I think we haven't discussed sort of one of the newer issues is AI and how we're using it in our day-to-day.
One of the ways I use it is if I get in a new submission, and maybe it's something that I'm not familiar with, or some sort of process I'm not familiar with, or chemical I'm not familiar with. You can find out anything you need to find out.
I think it's also beneficial to get a pretty quick site history of multiple locations, or, I'm going to put in 10, 15 locations that are on a policy. Have there been any fires? Have there been any news stories tied to those events? And seeing stuff get pulled all at one time. And I don't think AI is like overall. I don't think I'm doing any less time researching things, but I think it helps more quickly get the search focused so you can utilize your time efficiently.
I'll just put their name and their address and stuff into AI just to see if anything pops up with it. Because what's great about it is it gives you links to all the sources. So I just do that as like a quick check on it.
It certainly serves as like the second set of eyes, and not necessarily to validate or confirm what we've seen, but to go through to be that sort of net to catch if anything was missed. How have you seen sort of excess capacity within the market? I think within a GSP space, manufacturers, wholesalers, myself, I've seen like a fluctuation in even some of the smaller revenue accounts still buying higher limits, and then talking with the broker and seeing some trepidation towards they may not want to purchase the limits. It might be too expensive for them. So they're watching their budgets and the impacts of tariffs potentially of inflating their revenues and looking at different exposure bases. How have you guys worked through some of that?
What I am seeing the most in the excess market is more of a general decrease in limits from the carriers. And it's kind of creating, and it's a last minute. I'm seeing a lot of last minute, hey, we're dropping these excess limits from 15 to 5 with very little lead time for the brokers. I'm seeing a lot of that. And then the brokers need to go in and figure out some sort of solution from a tower perspective, which, increases the premium, which then you have multiple different carriers. I've had a lot come to me with, I haven't seen too much of the insured wanting to decrease their limits. It's more the carrier. And with that being said, I feel like we're one of the not only, but a couple of the carriers out there that are able to actually offer the 15 million. I've had a lot of instances where it's worked out really well, because instead of them having multiple carriers, they've just got me able to provide the 15. So that's kind of what I've been seeing going on in the market.
I think people are doing some weird things to try and save money. I've had recently been approached by insureds saying, hey, we have one contract that was requiring $10 million and we're not doing any work for that customer anymore. Now we want to drop down to 5. Or we've had, hey, your 10 million in limits quote is really expensive. We're going to talk to the customers who are requiring us and see if they'll bend it all. But I love the fact that we have the flexibility to still offer a full tranche of 15 million limits, because it's so rare in the marketplace right now. Even 10 is not as common as it was 2 years ago. And it's so much nicer for an insured to have, instead of 3 different carriers on a $20 million tower, to only have to deal with 2 or 1 who gets them where they need to go.
When we offer an excess, whether it's lead or high, right, our goal is to ultimately come in and write the primary. We want the primary. We want the GSP. the general liability and site pollution combined. We want that. We want the auto. We want the comp. We want to be able to help you and the brokerage and the client provide the best solution. And I think when we are in those high excess positions, especially if we've been there for a few years, we might evaluate and offer, hey, listen, like I know you didn't ask for it, but here's a lead excess quote. We've watched the risk. We've seen how it's performed. This is something I think we could be successful with here. And it just gives the broker an additional opportunity to not necessarily cause disruption within the excess tower, but gives them another option. A lot of times, again, talking about the contraction of capacity, this allows them to potentially shift gears or presents another option that they may not have had.
I love excess opportunity, high excess opportunity plays, because it's really insightful to see what the market is doing on things.
Looking at it in the past 5 years, the past 10 years, and going back, change is the only constant, right? We're seeing new markets enter, new markets, or more existing markets exit and change. And I think the consistency that Berkeley's built allows us that maneuverability to be selective, to be creative. Going back to our mission statement, right? Like, what is new? What can we do? And then embracing that change, always looking for something, not necessarily making it always better, right? Because sometimes you might have something perfect, but just looking at it again with a fresh set of eyes and being open-minded and taking that person's experience that's sharing that idea with you for their experience. And that's what they've been through. That's what they've grown. That's what they've seen. That has its own value. And I think it's truly open here that we can share those ideas. That's created a better product overall.
Since I've been here, I have not seen Berkeley Environmental have a knee-jerk reaction to something. And suddenly you're like, nope, we're not writing that anymore, or nope, we're cutting down limits, or that's not something that we're interested in anymore. I think it's a very soft approach to things, and not a we saw this happen, here's how we're reacting.
One of the things that I love about working at Berkeley is that there is top-down support for this product and an understanding that this product has value in the marketplace. And just the ease of doing business and the camaraderie we have here. I mean, I've worked with great people throughout my career, but this group I find myself in at Berkeley Environmental is truly top notch. And there's not a lot of, everyone is so humble and wants to roll up their sleeves and do hard work and don't mind, helping each other out. It's a really, having hit upon Berkeley Environmental at this point in my career, it is a really amazing group.
I think our appetite, if we look at it more broadly, there's so many different classes within there. And if you compare it to the market, there's overlaps, there's gaps, and there always will be. We've got multiple program administrators to help us within our broader appetite that, depending on certain risk classifications, they might have to go to a program administrator. And each of those, whether it's when program underwriters, the Chem Plan, Partner One, those specifically to GSP, have the ability and expertise to underwrite the product. It's not that it's, exclusionary. They're still written with us and together. But I think it develops based on the specific industry experience that they have that allows them to excel.
It's nice having Chem Plan in our corner. I did a lot of chemical business in my past life, but it's nice. I didn't do it all the time. So it's nice to know that we have a group that has a deep, deep knowledge in this space, and then gives us the opportunity to focus on some of the adjacent types of businesses that we can still be adjacent to the chemical space, but let them run with the true the hairy chemicals, and we can focus on some of the different products that are more in our wheelhouse.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Bridget. I appreciate all of you taking your time today to go through this and share some of your experiences, thoughts, and all the experience that you bring to Berkeley. It's very welcomed, appreciated, and acknowledged. For the listeners out there, please like, subscribe, follow. Look looking forward to seeing you next time. Thank you.